Hey, it's Joe. Got another deal to analyze here. And this is another email that I received. This one came from C.R. Harp in Florida. Thanks, C.R. I have a deal that has some good features to it, but I'm broke and have bad credit. I need this deal to get some cash flow coming in and start replacing my income and allow my wife to be home with the kids. I've located a grouping of duplexes that the seller is willing to sell with 100% owner financing for $109,000 for each building. They're rented and in good shape. I contacted a local realtor and I found on Craigslist, and she drove by and said they look good and that his rents are normal. If I could get my own financing, he'll give me a 20% discount, I'm assuming he's talking about the seller here, for not having to carry the note. I can go to traditional lenders because my FICO, or I cannot go to a traditional lender because my FICO is 596. And these days, if you want to get an investment loan, you're going to need 720. And you're going to need to show income to support those properties even without their rent. It's very difficult to get investment loans these days. I found a private lender, but most won't touch anything under $1 million. The only one that I found that will handle smaller acquisitions will do 65% loan to value on the appraisals or purchase price, whichever is lower. This is hard money he's talking about here, and I would stay away from hard money unless you know for sure you've got a buyer and you're going to be able to get out of that deal quickly. Hard money is almost... I can't say it's never profitable. I've used it and I've made profit from it, but it eats into your profits so much, and there are so many other ways to finance a deal other than using hard money. You don't need cash. I mean, this is one thing that I guess I should reiterate. You don't need cash to buy properties if you find the right properties, if you go after the right type of deals. And what so many of you are doing are looking at properties that are not going to be available that way. This one looks like it might be possible to do it on terms without cash or without hard money because the guy said he would finance it 100%. So let me finish the letter here. The county has the buildings assessed at $121,000. For the three that I would like to buy, the total comes to $363,000. I would need to get $265,000 to the seller. That's not quite the 65% loan purchase. He's going off talking about the 65% loan to value that he could use for hard money. Don't do it that way. First of all, if you try to show that you're paying a certain price for a property, if you're trying to show that you're paying more for it than you are, and then getting the down payment funneled back to you through the seller, that's loan fraud, and you get yourself in trouble. You can get yourself put in jail for that kind of thing. So don't do that kind of thing. You make sure that the lender understands exactly what you're doing and that it's revealed. And we've done some really creative stuff in the past where we have been able to do rebates and things like that, and all that's legitimate as long as the lender is aware of it and accepts it. And I'm not just talking about the loan broker being aware of it, but it's in the loan documents that it's obvious that that's what's happening. Because the loan broker and the loan originator, the lender, actual lender, are two different entities. And a lot of times a loan broker will tell you, well, just do this way, and that way the lender will accept it. When in fact what he's saying is that way the lender won't know about it, and he'll get his fee, and you'll get the deal done, but you will have committed loan fraud. That's happening less these days simply because investment loans are fewer and far between than they've ever been. Anyway, he says, how can I structure this to get no out-of-pocket costs and still pick up the property? He has 17 of these to sell total. He can bundle 6 of them at a time. Here are the details. Don't share the address or city as it's so small others can find it easily. All right. The thing you have to know here that he didn't give me the information on is how much they rent for. And he doesn't need to know just the amount that they rented for, but he needs to know what the history of the rent is. So you want to look at the Schedule E of the owner of this property and ask him to just send over the Schedule E of that property so you can see what he reported to the IRS. Typically, he's not going to report more than he made. So if you see the Schedule E, you can tell, okay, he made X amount of dollars over the last year. If we average that out, this is how much I can expect to make this with this particular manager in place. Can you keep that manager in place? Is that manager a good manager? Can you talk to that manager? Find out, a little bit about the properties from them. What kind of condition is the property in? How long have the tenants been in there? How often do they turn over? All those things are going to be important if you're going to buy these properties as investment properties. If you are, and he's willing to do 100% financing, can you do them using the hierarchy of zero-down structures that I taught you in one of the earlier videos? In this case, we're talking about doing a subject to deal. Now, does he have a loan on these properties? We don't know if he has a loan on these properties. You need to find that out. Does he, if you're paying, $363,000 for these properties, how much in loans does he have? If he has a total of $200,000 in loans on him, and he wants the rest of his equity to get to 363, if he wants the full assessed value and you're willing to give that to him, and the numbers make sense because it has enough income to cover the payment on that. So if, let's say he owes $200,000 on regular notes, he wants to get another $163,000 in notes, you could do a multi-mortgage on this and have him deed you the property. You could make payments on the existing loan for that $200,000, and then you could make a payment on another loan that equals $163,000 for those 3 properties to him personally, where he has a mortgage on all 3 properties. So if you default, he can take the properties back from you and protect his equity. So there's lots of ways to do this. The next way down is you can do it on a land contract from him. He could just say, okay, 363, do a balloon payment after 5 years, X amount interest rate. Let's say your payments on that thing are $3,000 a month, and the income on it is $3,600 a month, and the payment covers taxes and insurance. Then you got to configure in your property management. Do you still have enough money to break even and make these deals work in the long term? And if you do, and they're good, solid investment properties, do you keep them yourself at that point? Or do you want to try to make another chunk of money and maybe sell them for $5,000 more to an investor who gives you $5,000 for each duplex, so you make $15,000 on the deal, and turn around and sell it that way? You have to, because then you can show if the investor only has $5,000 into each of these deals and they break even. And again, remember what we talked about on depreciation, appreciation, on long-term investment, and how properties go up in value, and how you can take deductions. Even if you're break even, they're going to make sense if they pay off over a period of time. What you want to try to go for when you're making this offer with this guy is to get as long a term on these loans as you can. You don't want 5. I don't think I would do it with 5 years. I'd want to try 15. I'd prefer 30 years. I want to be able to pay these off over a long period of time, so that I know that they're amortizing. And if there's enough money to make them pay off sooner than that, then obviously you want to pay them off sooner than that so they can start cash flowing for you personally. All right, hope that helps.